70% of people in Burundi face malnutrition while surviving on less than $1.37 daily, with life expectancy barely reaching 50 years. But behind these harsh statistics are real human beings with dignity, dreams, and remarkable ingenuity. What does it mean when a bicycle represents wealth in a place like this? In this documentary, you'll witness women balancing 70-pound loads on their heads using only fabric rings, communities crafting beer from bananas when nothing else is available, and why owning a bicycle here compares to driving a Mercedes elsewhere. The numbers can't capture what it feels like to walk 10 kilometers daily just for clean water, but the next 30 minutes will. What if you had to go to sleep tonight without a bed, electricity, or even a floor that wasn't made of dirt? For most of us, this scenario sounds like a camping trip gone wrong. But in Burundi, this stark reality defines daily life for millions of people. As night falls across this small East African nation, darkness becomes absolute. Picture a typical Burundian home. Simple structures with walls of dried mud or bamboo, offering minimal protection from seasonal rains. Water frequently seeps through, turning dirt floors into mud. Roofs of banana leaves or worn metal sheets leak during downpours, forcing families to huddle in whatever dry corners remain until storms pass. Inside these homes, furniture barely exists. Extended families of 8 to 10 members spread woven mats across uneven dirt floors each night. Parents and children sleep side by side, bodies exhausted from days of manual labor in fields. No mattresses cushion their backs, no pillows cradle their heads, no bed frames elevate them from the cool, often damp earth beneath. Fewer than 8% of Burundian households have access to electricity. When dusk arrives around 6 p.m., life essentially stops. Children attempt homework by the weak light of handmade oil lamps, if their families can afford kerosene. Most rely on small fires or candles, carefully rationed since these consume a significant portion of daily earnings. Darkness doesn't just eliminate light, it erases opportunity. Small businesses and market vendors must close when the sun sets, cutting short potential earning hours. Community gatherings become impossible once visibility fades, isolating families when social connections might provide comfort. Even basic hygiene becomes challenging without light to see by. This darkness particularly affects education. Children return from school, often after walking several miles, with only a narrow window of daylight for studies. Parents face impossible choices: spend money on kerosene for studying or save it for cooking tomorrow's meal? Health deteriorates in these conditions. Without refrigeration, food spoils, contributing to malnutrition. Open fires fill homes with smoke, causing respiratory problems, especially among women and children who spend more time indoors. Injuries or illnesses after dark often go untreated until morning, since reaching health centers in darkness is dangerous. Even in Bujumbura, the capital, electricity remains unreliable and inaccessible to most. For the few connected to the grid, power costs consume up to 30% of monthly earnings just for a single light bulb and phone charging. The divide between homes with and without electricity creates visible inequality. Minimal electrical access means extended productive hours, longer business operations, and evening study time. This advantage translates directly into economic opportunity, widening the gap between those with power and those without. Daily tasks we complete without thought become complex challenges in Burundi. Families plan entire days around sunlight, waking before dawn, rushing to complete essential tasks before darkness, developing skills to function without light. Burundians have mastered navigating by touch and memory when darkness envelops their homes. What would your life look like if every day ended at sunset? In Burundi, darkness isn't just an absence of light. It's the absence of choice, opportunity, and the comfort of knowing tomorrow might be better than today. Dawn breaks in Burundi, and the daily marathon begins. Those pre-dawn hours aren't just about avoiding darkness, they're the essential head start needed for what might be the most physically demanding commute on Earth. While many of us grumble about traffic jams or crowded buses, Burundians face a different reality: walking distances that would qualify as endurance events elsewhere, just to fulfill the most basic human needs. Think about your morning routine. Water flows with the turn of a tap. Schools and clinics sit just minutes away. In Burundi, accessing clean water means a 6-mile journey across mountainous terrain, often starting in darkness, a daily survival requirement, not an occasional inconvenience. Women and children rise before sunrise to begin their water collection trek. They return hours later, their necks and spines supporting containers holding up to 30 liters of water. My mother taught me to balance the water when I was 7, shares Claudine, a young woman from a rural village. Now my daughter learns the same. They navigate steep, uneven paths with this 5-gallon container balanced on their heads, and this represents merely the first essential task in their day. The physical toll is staggering. Many Burundians routinely carry loads weighing up to 70% of their body weight, a burden that would flatten most professional athletes. The human body strains under such sustained stress. Chronic fatigue and musculoskeletal disorders plague the population, many walking barefoot or with inadequate footwear on rough, dangerous paths. A profound lack of infrastructure makes these journeys necessary. Essential services, schools, markets, healthcare facilities exist as distant outposts for rural communities. During rainy seasons, dirt roads transform into muddy obstacle courses, sometimes becoming completely impassable. A simple doctor's appointment might require an entire day of travel, making preventive healthcare nearly impossible for many families. There exists an alternative to walking, though hardly preferable. The local public transport, nicknamed the pig cage, costs about 10 cents per trip. Despite its affordability, many choose walking over the indignity and discomfort of being packed like livestock. Even for those willing to endure the ride, transport options remain limited in rural areas, leaving walking as the only practical option. These exhausting journeys create ripple effects throughout society. When children, particularly girls, spend hours collecting water instead of attending school, their future opportunities narrow dramatically. A girl missing classes because she's walking for water watches her chances for economic independence slowly disappear. This traps vulnerable members of society in poverty simply because accessing education requires extraordinary physical endurance. What's remarkable is how Burundians have adapted. Families coordinate complex schedules around weather patterns and daylight hours. Children navigate familiar routes by memory, developing an intimate knowledge of the landscape that would impress any geographer. Communities establish rest points where people can briefly shift their heavy loads and share news. The resilience comes partly through community. These physically demanding journeys become social activities where information flows, relationships strengthen, and cultural traditions pass between generations. Walking in groups provides safety and transforms a grueling task into something approaching a communal ritual. Necessary, difficult, but faced together. How would your community respond if every essential service required miles of walking each day? Among the cultural traditions passed down through generations in Burundi, one particular skill borders on the supernatural: the ability to carry massive loads on your head while traversing mountain paths with perfect posture. What appears like an impossible circus act to outsiders is simply Tuesday morning for a Burundian woman heading to market. This remarkable practice is essential for daily survival. Women in Burundi have mastered the physics-defying art of balancing objects weighing up to 70% of their body weight on their heads, often walking miles across challenging terrain. A 120-pound woman might carry nearly 85 pounds balanced perfectly atop her head, not for a quick demonstration, but for hours at a time. The secret lies in a simple yet ingenious innovation: a circular cushion made from fabric, shaped into a ring or bowl. This humble device sits between their head and their cargo, reducing friction and providing stability, even when navigating steep, uneven mountain paths. What's most striking is the grace with which these women move. Picture a woman walking uphill with a 30-liter water jug, about 66 pounds of liquid, balanced above her. Rather than struggling, she might be singing or dancing, transforming extreme physical exertion into what appears to be effortless movement. The sight resembles a gravity-defying dance, a poetic expression born from necessity. This extraordinary ability captivates visitors. One French traveler described it as both a skill and an art, marveling at the women's poise and precision as they balance heavy loads with apparent ease. This remarkable resilience in the face of daily hardship has earned Burundi an unexpected nickname, the land of a million smiles. Like any cultural tradition, this skill develops gradually. Girls begin training with small, lightweight objects. As they grow stronger and more confident, they progress to heavier loads. By adulthood, what would seem impossible to an outsider has become second nature. This generational knowledge transfer ensures the continuation of a practice that has evolved into something approaching an art form. The physical transformation is equally impressive. Regular head carrying develops extraordinarily strong neck and back muscles. Women who practice this technique for years develop a distinctive posture, straight-backed and graceful, even when carrying nothing. Their bodies adapt to transform what would crush most people into a manageable daily routine. Beyond the physical mechanics, there's something deeply symbolic about this practice. In a country facing overwhelming economic challenges, the image of a woman walking tall while carrying an impossible burden serves as a powerful metaphor for resilience. These women embody the strength required to survive and even thrive under conditions most would find unbearable. The cargo varies widely: water jugs, concrete buckets for construction, massive bundles of firewood, bulging sacks of charcoal, or market goods, all balanced atop a woman's head, secured by nothing more than gravity and that simple fabric ring. The next time you struggle with grocery bags, consider this. Somewhere in Burundi, a woman is walking miles with 3 times that weight balanced on her head, using just a piece of fabric between her skull and a load that would challenge professional weightlifters, all while conversing, singing, or teaching her daughter to do the same. Those miles of walking with heavy loads represent opportunity costs that most of us can't comprehend. In Burundi, the ultimate symbol of wealth isn't jewelry, smartphones, or designer clothes, but something most Western children receive for their birthday or Christmas: a simple bicycle. This 2-wheeled metal frame transforms lives so dramatically that it elevates its owner to an entirely different social class. Owning a bicycle in Burundi carries the same status as driving a Mercedes-Benz in New York or London. They're not merely transportation devices, but life-changing assets that dramatically alter a family's economic trajectory. While most Burundians survive on less than $1.37 per day, a basic bicycle costs the equivalent of several months' wages, an investment as significant as purchasing a car would be for a middle-class American family. What makes this simple machine so precious is its ability to collapse time and distance. A journey that might take 4 exhausting hours on foot can be completed in just 30 minutes by bicycle. This time, compression creates entirely new economic possibilities. Suddenly, a farmer can transport produce to more distant markets where prices are higher. A tradesperson can reach more clients in a single day. A child can attend a better school without sacrificing hours to walking. This economic advantage makes bicycle owners particularly attractive marriage prospects. Men who possess this luxury item instantly become more desirable partners, not for superficial reasons, but because the transportation advantage directly translates to better income potential. A bicycle-owning husband represents greater financial security and improved prospects for any future children. In a country where survival itself requires constant effort, practical considerations outweigh romantic ones in marital decisions. Given their extraordinary value, bicycles are rarely the property of just one person. A single bicycle typically serves an entire extended family, with strict sharing schedules that reflect the communal nature of Burundian society. Brothers might alternate days using it for work. Cousins may negotiate specific morning or afternoon hours. Maintenance becomes a family priority, with costs shared and repairs given urgent attention. Burundian bicycles are workhorses, modified with ingenious attachments and reinforcements to carry loads that seem impossible. Hundreds of pounds of bananas stacked higher than the rider, multiple passengers balanced precariously on extended seats, or building materials protruding at improbable angles. These modifications showcase the incredible resourcefulness born of necessity. With no railways and few paved roads, conventional transportation systems simply don't function effectively in Burundi. Bicycles can navigate narrow paths, ford small streams, and be carried across washed-out sections of road, advantages that make them the most practical transportation solution despite the challenging landscape. Recognizing the economic impact of bicycles, several international organizations have implemented bicycle donation programs that distribute these valuable assets to families who could never afford them otherwise. The impact can be transformative. Children attending school more regularly, women accessing healthcare more easily, and families increasing their income through expanded trading opportunities. This bicycle economy reveals that when resources are scarce, practical utility trumps all other considerations. The most valued possessions are those that directly expand a person's capabilities and opportunities. Status symbols aren't arbitrary fashion items but tools that genuinely improve quality of life. As our journey through Burundi comes to a close, we're left with a profound realization. What we've witnessed goes beyond material poverty to reveal what truly constitutes wealth. In Burundian culture, abundance isn't measured by possessions, but by the capacity to adapt and create meaning. Throughout our travels, we've seen how community gatherings, shared meals, and honored traditions foster unbreakable belonging. Remember those village elders whose wisdom guided their communities through hardship? Their story exemplifies how Burundians transform statistical scarcity into opportunity. What might shift in your perspective if you redefined wealth through human connection rather than material comfort? Perhaps Burundi's most valuable lesson is that true richness lies in resilience, resourcefulness, and finding purpose even when faced with unimaginable challenges.